Hi. In this video I will show you how to solve a hard stitches puzzle. This is a 7x7 2 stitches puzzle. This means that you are required to use 2 stitches to connect each block to its neighbors. We can start by marking all cells, which cannot contain a hole with an X. Then we can look for blocks with as little touching points as possible. The blue and the yellow blocks have 3 touching points. For now we cannot say which ones have stitches, but it is worth to get familiar with the geometry before the puzzle becomes overcrowded. It is also worth noticing that these 2 shapes touch each other at different places, something that can easily be overlooked. Now that we cannot progress based on the geometry, we can take a look at the clues. This one clue indicates that we cannot have horizontal stitches on the row. And this one clue indicates that there cannot be vertical stitches on the column. The red cells now have nowhere to connect to. The blue and the yellow block have only 2 points of contact left. We can place stitches on both of them. The first column already has 2 holes. We can mark the rest of the cells with an X. Take a look at this row. It requires 5 holes in a 7x7 grid. This means that we need to have 2 empty cells on the row. We already have 1 and we need 1 more. In such cases we can look for soft spots on the row, which cannot be empty. If the red cell is empty, then the blue cell will have nowhere to connect to. That would make 3 empty cells on the row, while we need to have 2. The conclusion is that there must be a hole in the red cell. Let's see how we can connect the yellow and the green blocks. We need to place 2 stitches and we have 3 yellow cells which we can use. But the bottom row with the 3 clue needs just 1 more hole. So there must be a hole in the red cell. This column requires 2 holes and it already has 1. If there is a vertical stitch on this column, it must use the hole, which is already placed. We can remove all other options by marking these borders red. We can also place an X, as one of the cells on the column has nowhere to connect to. Now it seems there is nothing else we can do to make progress based on the clues. So let's examine the geometry a bit more. The first 2 rows need to have 4 holes in total, based on the side clues. And if you take a close look you will see that all the holes on those 2 rows must be used to connect the green and the yellow blocks. This means that the bottom border of the yellow block cannot be crossed, otherwise we'll have less than 4 holes in the first 2 rows. This red cell has nowhere to connect to. We can mark it with an X. This column requires 5 holes, which means we need 2 X's. We need just 1 more X, so we can look for soft spots, which would make the X's more than 2. Indeed, if we place an X in the red cell, the blue cell will have nowhere to connect to. We can place a hole in the red cell. Using the same logic we can deduce that there must be a hole in this red cell as well. It seems that we are stuck again. Let's examine the green and the blue blocks. They can be connected at exactly 5 spots. That seems too much, but the middle row with the 1 clue adds some restriction. Placing a stitch on spots 2, 3, 4 and 5 would require a vertical stitch, each of which would add a hole to the middle row. We can have at most 1 stitch on those spots, otherwise we'll break the 1 clue. This means that the second stitch, which connects the green to the blue area, must be at spot 1. These 2 columns are now completed. We can place some X's and some red borders. Now this hole can be connected only to the right. We can do some reasoning on this column. First, there are 2 cells, which have nowhere to connect to. And second, we need just one more hole on the column, so we can restrict some vertical crossings. Now there are 2 more cells, which have nowhere to connect to. We can now connect the green and the yellow blocks with their second stitch. Let's see how we can connect the green and the blue blocks. One of the stitches must definitely come out of the red hole, either up or to the right. The second stitch can only be here. This column is now completed, and we can put an X in the last cell. Same goes for this row. This red cell has nowhere to connect to, so we place an X in it too. This row needs just one more hole to make them 5. And there is one place for it. The hole can only connect up. This row is now completed. And the hole in the red cell can only connect down. The last column is also completed. We just need to connect the green and the yellow block. And we are done. You are ready to try your new skills.